If you would like to skip to where I start reading, just click to this number here. I'm going to be reading Toni Morrison's Recitatif. Probably pronouncing that incorrectly. I actually forgot to look this up on YouTube to see if anybody else had read it aloud. But when it comes to certain things, sometimes I just like to listen to someone else reading it. And so I was like, well, I could do that. Sure, why not? Maybe I could better understand the text if I read it aloud, tape it, and put it on YouTube. Hey, why not? So that's what we're going to be doing today. That's basically just the intro. Wahaha, so exciting. Now I'm going to get on to reading. My mother danced all night, and Roberta's was sick. That's why we were taken to St. Bonnie's. People want to put their arms around you when you tell them you were in a shelter, but it really wasn't that bad. No big long room with 100 beds like Bellevue. There were 4 to a room, and when Roberta and me came, there were a shortage of state kids, so we were the only ones assigned to 406 and could go from bed to bed if we wanted to. And we wanted to, too. We changed beds every night, and for the whole 4 months we were there, we never picked one out as our own permanent bed. It didn't start out that way. The minute I walked in and the big bozo introduced us, I got sick to my stomach. It was one thing to be taken out of your own bed early in the morning. It was something else to be stuck in a strange place with a girl from a whole other race. And Mary, that's my mother, she was right. Every now and then she would stop dancing long enough to tell me something important, and one of the things she said was that they never washed their hair, and they smelled funny. Roberta sure did. Smell funny, I mean. So when the big bozo, nobody ever called her Mrs. Itkin, just like nobody ever said Saint Bonaventure, when she said, Twyla, this is Roberta. Roberta, this is Twyla. Make each other welcome. I said, my mother won't like you putting me in here. Good, said Bozo. Maybe then she'll come and take you home. How's that for mean? If Roberta had laughed, I would have killed her, but she didn't. She just walked over to the window and stood with her back to us. Turn around, said the bozo. Don't be rude. Now, Twyla, Roberta, when you hear a loud buzzer, that's the call for dinner. Come down to the first floor, any fights, and no movie. And then, just to make sure we knew what we would be missing, the Wizard of Oz. Roberta must have thought I meant that my mother would be mad about being put in the shelter. Not about rooming with her, because as soon as Bozo left, she came over to me and said, Is your mother sick too? No, I said. She just likes to dance all night. Oh, she said, nodding her head. And I liked the way she understood things so fast. So, for the moment, it didn't matter that we looked like salt and pepper standing there. That's what the other kids called us sometimes. We were 8 years old and got F's all the time. Me, because I couldn't remember what I read or what the teacher said. And Roberta, because she couldn't read at all and didn't even listen to the teacher. She wasn't good at anything except jacks, at which she was killer. Pow, scoop, pow, scoop, pow, scoop. We didn't like each other at all that much at first, but nobody else wanted to play with us because we weren't real orphans with beautiful dead parents in the sky. We were dumped. Even the New York City Puerto Ricans and the upstate Indians ignored us. All kinds of kids were in there. Black ones, white ones, even 2 Koreans. The food was good, though. At least I thought so. Roberta hated it and left whole pieces of things on her plate. Spam, Salisbury steak, even Jello with fruit cocktail in it. And she didn't care if I ate what she wouldn't. Mary's idea of supper was popcorn and a can of Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo? Yoo-hoo. Hot mashed potatoes and 2 weenies was like Thanksgiving for me. It really wasn't bad, St. Bonnie's. The big girls on the 2nd floor pushed us around now and then, but that was all. They wore lipstick and eyebrow pencil and wobbled their knees while they watched TV. 15, 16, even, some of them were. They were put-out girls, scared runaways, most of them. Poor little girls who fought their uncles off but looked tough to us, and mean. God, did they look mean. The staff tried to keep them separate from the younger children, but sometimes they caught us watching them in the orchard where they played radio and danced with each other. They'd light out after us and pull out our hair and twist our arms. We were scared of them, Roberta and me, but neither of us wanted the other one to know it. So we got a good list of dirty names we could shout back at them when we ran from them through the orchard. I used to dream a lot, and almost always the orchard was there. 2 acres, maybe 4, of these little apple trees, hundreds of them, empty and crooked like beggar women when I first came to St. Bonnie's, but fat with flowers when I left. I don't know why I dreamt about that orchard so much. Nothing really happened there. Nothing all that important, I mean. Just the big girls dancing and playing the radio, Roberta and me watching. Maggie fell down there once, the kitchen woman with legs like parentheses, and the big girls laughed at her. We should have helped her up, I know, but we were scared of those girls with lipstick and eyebrow pencil. Maggie couldn't talk. The kids said she had her tongue cut out, but I think she was just born that way. Mute. She was old and sandy-colored, and she worked in the kitchen. I don't know if she was nice or not. I just remember her legs like parentheses and how she rocked when she walked. She worked from early in the morning till 2 o'clock, and if she was late, if she had too much cleaning and didn't get out till 2:15 or so, she'd cut through the orchard so she wouldn't miss her bus and have to wait another hour. She wore this really stupid little hat, a kid's hat with ear flaps, and she wasn't much taller than we were. A really awful little hat, even for a mute. It was just dumb dressing like a kid and never saying anything at all. But what about if somebody tries to kill her? I used to wonder about that. Or what if she wants to cry? Can she cry? Sure, Roberta said, but just tears. No sound comes out. Can she scream? No, nothing. Can she hear? I guess. Let's call her, I said, and we did. Dummy! Dummy! She never turned her head. Bowlegs! Bowlegs! Nothing. She just rocked on, the chin straps of her baby boy hat swaying from side to side. I think we were wrong. I think she could hear and didn't let on. And it shames me, Even now, to think there was somebody in there, after all, who heard us call her those names and couldn't tell on us. We got along all right, Roberta and me. Changed beds every night. Got F's in civics and communication skills and gym. The bozo was disappointed in us, she said. Out of 130 of us state kids, 90 were under 12 years old. Almost all were real orphans with beautiful dead parents in the sky. We were the only ones dumped and the only ones with F's in 3 classes, including gym. So we got along, what with her leaving whole pieces of things on her plate and being nice about no tasking questions. I think it was the day before Maggie fell down that we found out our mothers were coming to visit us on the same Sunday. We had been at the shelter 28 days, Roberta 28 and a half. And this was their first visit with us. Our mothers would come at 10 o'clock in time for chapel, then lunch with us in the teacher's lounge. I thought if my dancing mother met her sick mother, it might be good for her. And Roberta thought her sick mother would get a big bang out of a dancing one. We got excited about it and curled each other's hair. After breakfast, we sat on the bed, watching the road from the window. Roberta's socks were still wet. She washed them the night before and put them on the radiator to dry. They hadn't, but she still put them on anyway because their tops were so pretty, scalloped in pink. Each of us had a purple construction paper basket that we had made in craft class. Mine had a yellow crayon rabbit on it. Roberta's had eggs with wiggly lines of color. Inside were cellophane grass and just jelly beans because I'd eaten the 2 marshmallow eggs they gave us. The big bozo came herself to get us. Smiling, she told us we looked very nice and to come downstairs. We were so surprised by the smile we'd never seen before. Neither of us moved. Don't you want to see your mommies? I stood up first and spilled the jelly beans all over the floor. Bozo's smile disappeared while we scrambled to get the candy up off the floor and put it back in the grass. She escorted us downstairs to the first floor, where the other girls were lining up to file into the chapel. A bunch of grown-ups stood to one side, viewers mostly, the old biddies who wanted servants and the who wanted company, looking for children they might want to adopt. Once in a while, a grandmother. Almost never anybody young or anybody whose face wouldn't scare you in the night, because if any of the real orphans had young relatives, they wouldn't be real orphans. I saw Mary right away. She had on those green slacks I hated, and I hated even more now, because didn't she know we were going to a chapel? And that fur jacket with the pocket lining so ripped she had to pull to get her hands out of them. But her face was pretty like always, and she smiled and waved like she was the little girl looking for her mother, not me. I walked slowly, trying not to drop the jelly beans and hoping the paper handle will hold. I had to use my last chiclet because by the time I finished cutting everything out, all the Elmer's glue was gone. I am left-handed, and the scissors never worked for me. It didn't matter, though. I might just as well have chewed the gum. Mary dropped to her knees and grabbed me, mashing my basket, the jelly beans and the grass into her ratty fur jacket. "Twyla, baby! Twyla, baby!" I could have killed her. Already I heard the big girls in the orchard the next time saying, "Twyla, baby!" But I couldn't stay mad at Mary while she was smiling and hugging me and smelling of Lady Esther dusting powder. I wanted to stay buried in her fur all day. To tell the truth, I forgot about Roberta. Mary and I got in line for the trapeze into the chapel, and I was feeling proud because she looked so beautiful, even in those ugly green slacks that made her behind stick out. A pretty mother on earth is better than a beautiful dead one in the sky, even if she did leave you all alone to go dancing. I felt a tap on my shoulder, turned, and saw Roberta smiling. I smiled back, but not too much, lest somebody think this visit was the biggest thing that ever happened in my life. Then Roberta said, "Mother, I want you to meet my roommate, Twyla." And that's Twyla's mother. I looked up, it seemed for miles. She was big, bigger than any man, and on her chest was the biggest cross I'd ever seen. I swear it was 6 inches long each way, and in the crook of her arm was the biggest Bible ever made. Mary, simple-minded as ever, grinned and tried to yank her hand out of the pocket with the raggedy lining to shake hands, I guess. Roberta's mother looked down at me and then looked down at Mary too. She didn't say anything, just grabbed Roberta with her Bible-free hand and stepped out of line, walking quickly to the rear of it. Mary was still grinning because she's not too swift when it comes to what's really going on. Then this light bulb goes off in her head and she says, "That bitch!" really loud, and us almost in the chapel now. Organ music whining, the bony angels singing sweetly. Everybody in the world turned around to look, and Mary would have kept it up, keep calling names if I hadn't squeezed her hand as hard as I could. That helped a little. But she still twitched and crossed and uncrossed her legs all through service, even groaned a couple times. Why did I think she would come here and act right? Slacks. No hat like the grandmothers and viewers, and groaning all the while. When we stood for hymns, she kept her mouth shut, wouldn't even look at the words on the page. She actually reached in her purse for a mirror to check her lipstick. All I could think of was that she really needed to be killed. The sermon lasted a year, and I knew the real orphans were looking smug again. We were supposed to have lunch in the teacher's lounge, but Mary didn't bring anything, so we picked fir and cellophane grass off the mashed jelly beans and ate them. I could have killed her. I sneaked a look at Roberta. Her mother had brought chicken legs and ham sandwiches and oranges and a whole box of chocolate-covered grams. Roberta drank milk from a thermos while her mother read the Bible to her. Things were not right. The wrong food is always with the wrong people. Maybe that's why I got into waitress work later, to match up the right people with the right food. Roberta just let those chicken legs sit there, but she did bring a stack of grams up to me later when the visit was over. I still think she was sorry that her mom would not shake my mother's hand, and I like that. I like the fact that she didn't say a word about Mary groaning all the way through the service, and not bringing any lunch. Roberta left in May, when the apple trees were heavy and white. On her last day, we went to the orchard to watch the big girls smoke and dance by the radio. It didn't matter that they said, "Twyla, baby." We sat on the ground and breathed Lady Esther apple blossoms. I still go soft when I smell one or the other. Roberta was going home. The big cross and the big Bible was coming to get her. She seemed sort of glad and sort of not. I thought I would die in that room of 4 beds without her, and I knew Bozo had plans to move some other dumped kid in there with me. Roberta promised to write every day, which was really sweet of her because she couldn't read a lick. So how could she write anybody? I would have drawn pictures and sent them to her, but she never gave me her address. Little by little she faded. Her wet socks with the pink scallop tops, and her big, serious-looking eyes. That's all I could catch when I tried to bring her to mind. Thanks for watching. I'm just gonna do this part for right now. This isn't really a really long story, but the way I read, I'm really slow when I speak read, when I read aloud. So hopefully within the next couple of days, week, something like that, I will go ahead and read the rest of it. Probably in other parts just like this. So, Exhibit A, this is part 1. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Comment if you see any mistakes or give me any pointers about speaking clearer or something, and make sure to give the timestamps and whatnot. Thank you.